For a few years now, it's been on my bucket list to go to Montreal, check out the city, mainly check out the Bell Center, catch a Canadians game. Everyone says it's different there, and I just wanted to see it for myself, so I did do that recently, and I want to talk about that experience. Nothing pre-prepared or anything, just wanted to talk about my experience as a ball eagle loving, brew drinking, hot dog sucking American heading across the border for the first time in my adult life. What's weird is that I could see Canada from where I live. Always wanted to go, but I didn't have my passport or my enhanced license, and I just hate dealing with any sort of like government jobs in the United States. At least where I live, it's just awful. But I ended up getting the enhanced license for me and my woman. So we ended up doing that, and this starts off Monday night. I had a roller hockey game that started at 10:30 p.m. So in my head, I'm thinking, we'll head over to Montreal, about a 7-hour drive. We'll head out there right after my hockey game. And that's a video for another day. Trying to learn hockey as an adult because I've always wanted to learn and play. And I've been doing that lately, so that'll be another topic. But my game was at 10:30. There was no shower in the arena, at least that I could find. Someone said there was one. I couldn't find it, but we had the last game of the evening. I didn't want to hold anyone up. So I just threw on a hoodie, sweaty as hell, got in the car, and we headed out. And we didn't get to the border until the next day. Slept at a hotel in the middle of nowhere, America. What I want to talk about is the difference of crossing the border. It was insane because I was so nervous about crossing the border. I mean, I got all these bags of hockey equipment, sticks. I'm thinking, this is going to be weird. I know they're going to psychoanalyze me, and I was just a little worried. I wasn't doing anything wrong. It's just, I've always been like that with authority figures, police, anything like that. It's just a little weird for me. So we get to the border. Guy says, "Why are you coming here?" I said, "Hockey game." He goes, "How long you staying?" I said, 24, less than 38. Maybe a little too specific. Might have thrown him off. He asked me who we're seeing. Told him the Canadians. Said the Flames. Then he went on to say, "Shouldn't you guys be Buffalo fans?" And I'm like, "Yeah, I am, but I just like hockey." And he just goes, "All right," and lets us through. Easy peasy, man. No stopping. Didn't look in the back. Nothing. Just let us waltz into Canada. And I was thinking, you know what? My performance must have been great. I looked like the most well thought out, innocent guy of all time. At least that's what I was thinking. My girl doesn't believe it. He thinks that guy just didn't give a fuck and was just trying to send us along and get on to the next person. But there was no one else there at the border. So certainly if he wanted to give us a hard time, he could have. But he didn't, so shout out to that guy. On the way back, it wasn't the same story. But we get to Canada, and it's mostly nothing until you get out to like where French speaking happens. I was a little worried about the language barrier, because I read online, most people speak English, so it should be all right. Turns out just about everybody I met spoke English. All right, at least everyone in any kind of service industry spoke English, which is weird to me. I hope those people get paid more than like the normal service industry worker, because you have to know 2 languages. And I don't know 2 languages. Most Americans don't know 2 languages. All right. I couldn't imagine having to flip the script like that and go from French to English, because I was just walking around saying, "Bonjour, bonjour, motherfuckers," and that was all I knew. I hope that doesn't come across as... Let's start talking about this Bell Center experience, because there were other experiences, but for the most part, let's talk about this hockey game, because that's what I want to talk about, because everyone says it's different there. The energy is different. It's one of the places where hockey is held to the highest regard. So it was the Canadians against the Calgary Flames, 2 Canadian teams. I chose that on purpose. I could have went to this one or the Blue Jackets game that the Canadians are playing, which I believe is Saturday. I chose this one. And with Calgary being all the way on the West Coast and the Montreal Canadiens not really being the best team, I was honestly a little worried that it wouldn't be a good crowd because I know the Canadiens aren't the best team. Calgary is mid-tier. They're all right, but, they're a 4-hour flight away, so I didn't expect many Flames fans or anything. So I ended up getting fucking hammered at this empty bar because we were just walking around. We stopped at a dispensary, got some fucking weed, got hammered at this bar. No one else was there. You could tell they wanted us to leave. So we left, go to another bar. And at this point, I get wasted way too early. So I'm stumbling around. And at this point, I'm ready to walk to the stadium. Problem is, I know we can't bring joints into the goddamn stadium, so I hatched a big brain plan. All right, there was a dog park, maybe about a 15-minute walk from the stadium. Or I don't know if it was a dog park or like a little alley. Whatever it was, I noticed that there were a lot of like cut up bushes, and there was a political sign. It was in French, no idea what it said, but it was for some politician, I'm assuming. Or maybe a realtor, I don't know. I took the joint, tossed it in the bushes right there. I knew no one was going to find that shit, and it was going to be there when we got back later. Genius move on my part. Anyway, so we head into the stadium, get to we sat in the 200 level. Cost about, might have been like $280 American or something. Don't know if I got ripped off, but we were in the 200 level, and to my shock, absolute shock, I walk up. I was going to get poutine, but then I decided I was going to wait till after the game and get it later on at an actual place. So I held strong, and I was just like, hey, can I get some chicken tenders or whatever? And he hands me the chicken tenders, and I pull out my card, and he goes, it's free. And I go, it's free? And he goes, yeah, everything's free except for alcohol. And my mind right there just shattered into a million pieces. I couldn't believe what I just heard. I walk away, and then I'm noticing everyone's got a bunch of food. And I was like, well, I was wondering why everyone was going ham on the pizzas and everything. Turns out if you get tickets in the 200 level, not sure if it's every game, but at least this game, it was fucking free. I'm pretty sure it's every game. Mind blown. That would never happen in the United States of America. People are too fucking fat. They would literally go there and just start hoarding food in their pants. They'd be leaving with like food tucked in their jerseys. Oh my God. Maybe some people do that there, but I couldn't believe it. Free? Oh my God. What the fuck? Free. And in my head, I'm thinking, well, if I lived here, this would be a perfect date night. I get it. It's a little expensive, but you're getting a hockey game and dinner for free if you choose to eat at the stadium. And in my opinion, what I do if I go to like a sporting event is I'll get drunk, then go into the stadium, and by the time the game ends, I'll be sober. So, and that works out fine if I have to drive. But in this instance, I wasn't driving anywhere in this fucking city. Everything was in French. I didn't want to crash. I already had people honking at me because they were getting impatient because I didn't know where to turn at one point. So I wasn't interested in driving. So we walked everywhere, and everyone was walking, which was surprising. People walking everywhere. Great sight to see. Kind of reminded me of New York City a little bit. Obviously not as large and grandiose, not as much shopping and shit, but it did remind me of that with all the people walking. That's another thing you don't see a lot in the States is people walking everywhere, unless it's like a giant city like LA, New York, Miami. But we get to the seats. As far as the actual energy of the game went, it ended up being packed, and I loved it. I loved the energy at that stadium. I actually thought the Canadians weren't going to score. I wanted to see them score at least one. They ended up scoring. They took a 2-1 lead in the third period on a shorthanded goal. And then they got another goal, but the guy was offsides. He skated backwards into the zone. They took the goal away. And then Calgary ended up tying it late. Terrible defense on that tying goal, by the way. And then immediately into overtime, insert the clip. Calgary ended up winning in overtime right away. Got that goal on video. Pretty cool. I would have preferred the Canadians to win, but it was a fun game. I always want it to be close when I go to a game between two teams I don't really root for or root against. I just want it to be as close as possible. So I would have liked for overtime to go on longer, but I'll take it. Overtime game. The had a bunch of alcohol there, super expensive. It was like $13 Canadian for a beer, which was like, what's that, $10 American? I don't know, something like that. I ended up just kind of getting way too fucking drunk, to be honest with you, and the energy was great. I got real into it because I'm drunk. The Canadians score. I'm high fiving with this fucking Jamaican guy next to me that doesn't speak a lick of English. He ended up hugging me at one point. A little bit weird, but I took it. I reciprocated the energy, hugged him back. Crowd was great. I noticed they even cheered for just like good hockey plays at a couple points, or like stolen pucks. Like, I don't remember. I was really fucked up, but had a great time. Leave the game. The joint was still there. And then for the next mission, I obviously had to eat and drink something. I needed some water and I needed some food. All right. And I've heard about this food in Canada called poutine. All right. So we went over to this restaurant called the Burgundy Lion. All right. We walk in. Instantly, it's loud as fuck, but the lights are dim, perfect for being fucking hammered. Honestly, they had it right. They had it right. Because if I'm drunk, I'm not trying to deal with bright lights all in my fucking face. All right, it was nice and dim. I got the poutine. Wanted it so bad. I wanted to try that so bad, and honestly, I was skeptical. I didn't think I would love it. I was amazed. Outstanding. And not just because I wanted it to be good, because I was ready to be critical, because in my head I'm thinking, fucking French fries, gravy, cheese curds. They even had blue cheese on it, a little bit of it. And I'm like, there's no way this fucking shit mixes together well. There's no way. It's like, it's an abomination. It was not an abomination. That shit was fucking delicious. The server was fucking awesome. She was fucking... My girl asked what was on the burger. She just goes, it's a fucking big fucking burger. Oh, man. It was fucking great. They didn't even have to serve us. I think we got like the last call for food. We just showed up at the perfect time. And then both our phones died. We still found our way back. Yeah, and surprisingly, for a major city, there wasn't much sketchiness. Like, there's graffiti and shit, but in any city I've been in, it's pretty sketchy in like the parts of town that are like heavily populated. There's homeless people everywhere. Not sure what the homeless population is in Montreal. I obviously there's a few I've seen, but it's not like anywhere else I've been where it's like, you feel a little bit unsafe, unsure about where you're going. I was having a great time walking down the streets of Montreal in the middle of the night. I didn't feel threatened at all, so. Wait, I forgot to wrap it around. The next day, when we got to the American border, all right, I have to talk about this because going into Canada was so easy. I'm thinking, well, going into America's got to be just as easy, right? Because this is where we're from. All right, you'd think it'd be a little hard to be from somewhere else to get into a different country than to try and return to the country of which you're from. It was not as easy. All right, I go up. I tell them it's the same thing. I went to this hockey game, yada, yada. I wanted to check out Montreal. And he goes, all right, pull over under this canopy thing. We did. sit in this room. No one even explains to us why we're there for like 10 minutes. And then finally some lady comes up and makes us fill out the stuff. She's being friendly, but at the same time, you could tell they're kind of psychoanalyzing you to see if like you're trying to like sneak something in there or something. But, you know, we had nothing to hide. They search our car. You know, they threw a couple of our clothes just kind of like into the back seat and just left them there. Well, you know, I get it. You're trying to protect the country from, you know, meats or weed or whatever the fuck they're looking for. And then, you know, took quite a while. They sent us on our way. So I just thought it was interesting that it was harder to get back into the United States than it was to go as an American into Canada for the first time. But shout out to Canada, beautiful country. Stopped at a couple different spots, very scenic. Reminds me a lot of where I'm from, which I'm not going to tell you, but you know, a similar landscape to the part of America in which I'm from. Obviously, it is because I live pretty fucking close by, at least in the parts of Canada that I've seen. So I'll definitely be returning to the great white north. All right, hopefully to see a moose or something. I don't know. But that's it. All right.